Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. We're here today with the Vampire Counts, going to be taking on the forces of Chaos. This is Game 4 of the best of 5 between myself and Lore Master of Sotek. For those of you who aren't keeping a score, I'm currently up 2-1, so if I win this battle, the series is over, and I have won 3-1. If I lose, then we go to an ace match, Game 5. Let's go ahead and take a look. Of course, for the spoiler alert, for those of you who haven't seen it, this was fought on one of Turin's streams, so you could always go watch the stream, of course. If for some reason you haven't already, definitely go check it out. We've got Manfred von Karstein here, old Voldemort himself. Let's go ahead and take a look at his spell loadout. We've got Spirit Leech, Invocation of Nehek, Dance Macabre, Raise Dead, and the Wind of Death, just for some fun. I debated on bringing either Fate of Buna or Wind of Death because you're very likely to see elite tier infantry from Chaos in this matchup. Chosen are super strong right now. Chosen with halberds in particular are a nightmare for the vampires to deal with. We've got a couple of tools to deal with that, and I was debating strongly between Fate of Buna and Wind of Death. Wind of Death is a little bit more flashy, but it can be tricky to pull off. Whereas Fate of Buna is much safer of a pick. You know you're going to get the damage out of Fate of Buna, but the question is, you don't get as many casts out of it. You have a higher damage potential with Wind of Death, so I decided to go for a bit of a gamble here and bring Wind of Death. Just to be safe, we've got a Mortis Engine to suck the life out of any Chosen. It can stay at a distance, and it'll be relatively safe as long as my opponent doesn't have too much flaming damage or Shaggoths, both of which are very common in this matchup. We've got a front line of 4 zombies here, with 3 skeleton swordsmen and some skeleton spears out to the flanks. 3 units of Grave Guard with great weapons for that nice armor-piercing anti-infantry. Grave Guards honestly have pretty solid combat stats if you buff them up with a Corpse Cart here. We've got 1 Corpse Cart with Unholy Lodestone to give some healing effects on this side. The Mortis Engine can heal and drain in the center. And on the far side, we've got just a nice cheap distraction Corpse Cart. It has the Vigor Mortis, not much else, but it is buffing the melee attack of all the units, melee attack and defense of all the units in this pocket, which is, useful in and of itself. For a cheap amount of gold, it's kind of a focus target for my opponent to maybe sink some missiles or other resources into. And it does have the regeneration, so it'll keep healing. So we basically just bring it basically like a zombie card, more or less, just to soak hits and provide that nice Vigor Mortis while it is alive. So in terms of, we've also got a unit of Blood Knights that's kind of clogged up here in the center for that anti-large. But yeah, that's about it for me. Oh, and how could I forget? Of course, we've got Ye Olde Black Coach, looking very, very swag here. It does cause fear and terror and is relatively cheap and mobile, which is why I brought it here. I just wanted that nice, cheap terror mobile option. Maybe do a quick rear charge to terror out some Chaos Infantry. For my opponent's build, Lore Master of Sotek, you can see, has brought a very small elite army. He's got Archaon the Everchosen on his horse here. Crown of Domination, of course, to protect against fear and terror. He's got Fireball, Cascading Fire Cloak, Flaming Sword of Ruin, and Piercing Bolts of Burning, which does a ton of damage. Extremely good against heavily armored units, so pretty decent against things like Blood Knights, Graveguard, and so on. He's also got the Slayer of Kings to give himself that nasty, nasty weapon strength. He's got an Exalted Hero to help back him up. This guy can take the Hellfire Sword, so he's a nice synergy to have with Archaon. Looks like he's also got the Mark of Khorne here, giving him additional charge bonus, immunity to psychology, and the weapon strength and so on. Let's see, charge bonus, melee attack, weapon damage, and immunity to psychology, so very useful. He's also got the Hellfire Sword here, which gives him fire damage and armor piercing and weapon damage when active. Very nice synergy with the Archaon here. We've also got 2 units of Chosen with halberds, a single sword and board Chosen, 1 unit of Chaos Marauders with great weapons, and another regular unit of Chaos Marauders. So let's go ahead and kick the battle into full gear, and right off the bat you can see I'm being pretty reckless with this black coach here, just charging it straight in. No brakes on this coach, just going all deep in here. But there is a reason for this, and seeing my opponent's army, I knew immediately I was going to need to get some kind of shenanigan to deal with these Chosen, and here we are. Oh man, just that devastating Winds of Death right across the line there. Very nicely set up. if I do say so myself, and was able to take out quite a few of those Chosen here. Chosen with Grey Weapons, interesting, and those two Chosen with Halberds both took a ton of HP damage there. We didn't actually get a ton of kills at the end of the day. 31 kills, granted, that is against mostly elite tier Chaos Infantry, so yeah, pretty devastating. That being said, I mean, it didn't tip the balance of power that far in my favor. It is definitely in my favor. But at this point, we're just going to get the Vampire Meat Grinder going, so just all in with all the skeletons and the zombies and all the spooky, scary things. Going to bring in the Blood Knights here and try and get on this Giant, but there are still enough Chosen with Halberds that's going to be dicey at best. A very nice Flaming Sword of Ruin coming down from Lore Master of Sotek means that all these guys are going to be trading more effectively versus regeneration type units. That being said, the only units I have that have that standard regeneration trait are the 2 Corpse Carts and the Mortis Engine itself, but you can see right where my Blood Knights are at, Sotek's going to be dropping that Piercing Bolts of Burning, which does a ton of damage to armored units. Even something elite like these Blood Knights here will take a ton of damage. You can see they were more or less full health before. I mean, they had taken a little bit of damage, but they're down to 27 unit models, getting absolutely destroyed. You can see the Exalted Hero chase down that Black Coach, which was a true hero, let's be real. He chased it down and took it out. We're trying to protect the Distraction Cart here with the Blood Knights, but honestly, I probably should have just pulled him back and kept him in reserve. That being said, you know, Archaon is going to get in here. He's going to give these Blood Knights the business, definitely. You can see his Exalted Hero buddy also coming in and just decking one of the Blood Knights in the face there. So because the Blood Knights are not getting the best engagement, a lot of them were still caught up in this combat here. They're not getting a super effective surround, and they're also taking a lot of armor-piercing missiles from these Marauders with throwing axes here, so they all do crumble, unfortunately, leaving the Distraction Car all alone against nasty, nasty Archaon, who looks like he's throwing down another Piercing Bolts of Burning there, while simultaneously smiting the Corpse Cart. Very cool cinematics at this point. The Meat Grinder's definitely going, though. The Chosen are starting to have some issues with leadership. The Terror from the Mortis Engine and the Drain from it, as well, is just continuously sapping their will to fight. And at this point, it's pretty much just the Giant, Archaon. There's still a few Chosen with Halberds holding out hope here, but they are not going to be here for long, I would imagine. Very nice Fireball coming through. Barely clipped that the Mortis Engine there, but still did a lot of damage. If it would have made full contact, it would have probably done about half its HP or more in damage. But at this point, Manfred's relatively healthy. We've been able to get a little bit of healing out of him, and at this point we're going to start trying to take out these high value units here. You can see there's still quite a bit of battle left, but Sotek doing a very good job. Now that his Marauders are out of ammo, going to be isolating these summoned zombies here and just taking them off the field. Honestly, he probably wants to just come out and around this way and not try and focus on the summoned units too much, and just try and rear charge, you know, the various sides of the pocket here to get as much leadership penalty as possible. You can see Archaon struggling to slog his way out of all these skeletons and zombies, and the Grave Guards will do a little bit of damage to him. The Skeleton Spears will do even less. Everything else will do pretty much nothing, but Manfred coming in here, old Voldemort, he's got something to say about that. It's, you know, Voldemort back when he still had a nose, I guess, but he's going to be dueling Archaon in here with the Mortis Engine getting all kinds of involved as well. And here come the Marauders coming around the flank. You can see Sotek's doing exactly what I said he should be, which is just kind of pulling these guys around, trying to get that rear charge penalty. You can see it is working on some of my units. The Skeleton Warriors crumbling in various pockets, but the Grave Guards are still holding up their leadership. This Corpse Cart here in the center, this Unholy Lodestone, just cackling as it is still alive here, and Manfred himself having a great duel with Archaon. It's a little deafened by the Mortis Engine there as it continuously shrieks and screams. But yeah, at this point it's pretty much just going to be a grind out. So you can see the Giants starting to take damage. I mean, the Skeleton Spearmen with their little wet noodles, they'll kind of slap him around a little bit on the ankles. But it's mostly just going to be the zombies kind of looking at him. But in all honesty, we're going to have to be careful, because if we get the Mortis Engine sniped out by this Exalted Hero, then him and Manfred are able to team up. Or sorry, him and Archaon are able to team up on Manfred. They could definitely do some damage to him. But as it is, Manfred's fighting an Archaon with the support of this Mortis Engine, and all these infantry here. I can't really get close because that Mortis Engine is way too loud. I apologize, guys. But I mean, even with the Slayer of Kings, Cascading Fire Cloak, Archaon's weapon strength is going to be well over 1,000 with both of those up, I would imagine. Not quite, actually, just barely 926. He has a ton of weapon strength, but not able to get any hits in while those were both active at the same time, so a little bit unfortunate there. Manfred now coming in and getting another hit. He does have that sword of his, the Sword of Unholy Power, so all this time he's in melee, he's getting additional Winds of Magic. These Marauders are still hanging around, though, just continuously cycling in and out, and honestly, at this point in the battle, like, a unit of Chaos Knights with Lances would have been absolutely devastating. He would have been able to probably shatter a lot of these units by just continuously cycle charging in a late game engagement like this. So I definitely think Chaos Knights with Lances, I need to do some testing with them against Blood Knights one-on-one, but I think they'll trade more or less evenly. They might lose just slightly, but they are comparable to Blood Knights for less points. And I think they're a pretty decent pick in this matchup. They also make a very fitting bodyguard for Archaon and his Exalted Hero buddy here. A very fitting retinue, but at this point it's pretty much over. You can see Archaon's leadership is wavering somewhat, so we'll go ahead and fast forward through this late game grind here as we kind of cheese things out a little bit here. Not really cheese. I mean, that Wind of Death play I feel was legitimate, but we did get Archaon with a Spirit Leech there with the last of Manfred's Winds of Magic that broke his leadership. Now Manfred's going to chase him off the side of the map while we continue to just wet noodle on the Giant and the Exalted Hero here. Man, these vampire troops, without the support of that corpse card or the Mortis Ascension or anything, they just do not do any damage. Really, really poor combat stats, and I guess that's kind of the point, is because of the healing and the unbreakable nature and the fact that they crumble, they don't rout. It's probably good that they have such poor combat stats, but anyway, very well played, Loremaster Sotek. That is going to take this series for me 3-1. So very, very fun battles, all very close battles, and hope you guys enjoyed watching them as much as I enjoyed playing them. Go ahead and take a look at the final army breakdown here for the vampire counts here. Obviously Manfred and the Black Coach, the true MVPs there. The Black Coach setting that whole play up, and then Manfred getting that nasty Winds of Death. Didn't get any additional kills after that. The only kills he got, 38, were all from that Winds of Death. Mortis Ascension also managed to get up to Silver 1, which I see, honestly, if any unit ranks up like no other, it's a Mortis Ascension, especially if you got it draining elite tier infantry. Like, Mortis Ascensions I see consistently get 2 to 4 chevrons over the course of a battle if you use them right. So I mean, this is, if you guys are wondering how to deal with elite tier infantry as the vampires, I mean, you can try for a flashy Wind of Death play like that. Doesn't always work. And you end up wasting a lot of your Winds of Magic because you have to overcast Winds of Death to get that kind of effect, and it costs, I believe, all 30 Winds of Magic. We can check in just a moment, but it's flashy, and if it goes wrong, you're going to be in trouble. So having a Mortis Engine to be able to drain away the forces of chaos, or anything else for that matter, any elite tier infantry, elven infantry, dwarven infantry, what have you, Mortis Engine is going to be good at draining all those down, as long as you don't get it caught out by something bigger and nastier and more mobile so that it can keep up with it, like a Shaggoth, for example, or a Carnosaur, or a unit of elite tier cavalry. They can definitely do a lot of damage to this thing. Missiles can do a lot of damage as well. Mortis Engines don't have the most armor at the end of the day. We can go ahead and actually take a look here. But, beyond Fate of Buna and Wind of Death, which are both spells that you have access to, Fate of Buna is very reliable, but again, you can end up sinking a lot of your magic into that, and with the vampire counts, you can get a lot more value, potentially, out of healing your units and using, Dance Macabre and other support spells, so it's a little bit tough to decide where to invest your magic into. But Mortis Engine, you don't have to invest any magic into this. In fact, it'll give you additional power recharge rate while simultaneously healing and draining all nearby friendly units, draining all nearby enemy units. So overall, a very powerful unit, and it's the answer to elite tier infantry in many cases. I mean, you can go for like an Alpha Strike, Monster Mash with a lot of, Terrorgeist and so on, but the old Mortis Engine, as long as you can keep it safe, is the most reliable way I've found to get things done against elite tier infantry. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I was going to check one other thing here. Oh yeah, the Winds of Magic for Winds of Death here. So if we go ahead and check Winds of Death, So upgraded, yeah, full 30 Winds of Magic. So it costs, you know, a full power bar basically to cast and overcast Winds of Death, but it will destroy any infantry it touches pretty much. Like elite tier, heavily armored, not heavily armored. It's going to do a ludicrous amount of damage, as you guys saw. So yeah, overcasting it, very costly Winds of Magic investment, but can potentially pay off. It's one of those huge kind of risk-reward things that really makes Total War Warhammer special, in my opinion. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.